Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, May 17th, and this is our morning drive live. I want to talk today about services not sent to insurance. So, there's a few things I want to talk about in this topic. The first one of which is if you have Dentrix or Open Dental, pretty much anything except for EagleSoft, because EagleSoft, it's just not possible. Um, but if you have a Dentrix or Open Dental software, one of the reports that you should be looking at every single day is the services not attached to a claim or services not sent to insurance report. And I'll tell you why. We brought on a new client at the end of last week, and I spent some time over the weekend going through their system, trying to figure out why they are only collecting 82% of what their net production is. And one of the reports that I look at, just standard every time we bring on a new client, is that services not attached to a claim or services not sent to insurance report. And I found for this one client. Now, this client on average produces about $75,000 to $80,000 a month in net production. But I found over $120,000 worth of services that never got sent to insurance. So, you have to make sure that you are always double checking that report at the end of every single day. I understand things happen, life gets busy, you mark an appointment as complete, you get a phone call, whatever it may be, you get distracted, you forget to go back in and send the services to a claim, you forget to attach them. We get busy, life happens. Nobody is 100% all the time. That's not possible. It's not expected that anybody is going to be 100%. That's why we have those reports. So especially, like I said, Dentrix and Open Dental, double check that report every single day, because you don't want to leave money on the table and forgetting to create a claim for one or two patients a day over the course of months and months and months can really add up to six-figure dollar amounts. And that's something we absolutely want to be sure we're watching. And the problem is, if you don't create the claim, it's not even going to appear on your outstanding claims report, which means it looks like it's on the patient's AR. You've not sent a claim. Now, if you're not really looking closely at all of your accounts when you do statements every month, which we don't want to do, we don't want to have to spend the time. We want to know that our accounts are accurate, our accounts are on point, and we can just click a few buttons to send out statements every month. But now we run into, if you're not checking the services not attached report, that looks like a patient balance. So you're mailing patient statements out and they're going, wow, why hasn't my insurance paid yet? Wow, I don't understand why my insurance hasn't paid yet. And it can create animosity. It can create it just doesn't look good to a patient. From the patient perspective, they're thinking, wow, how could you forget to send a bill to my insurance company? I know it happens. It's easy. We get distracted, especially now. There's a lot going on in dental offices. It's hard to find people. A lot of offices are understaffed. don't have the number of people that they need in the office at the front desk doing what needs to be done. So, as we're trying to multitask, things fall through the crack. And again, I can't expect anyone to be 100%. This is exactly what I tell a client when I get a phone call from a client who says, you guys sent 196 claims last week, and on this one, I wanted this bite wing sent, not this bite wing, or I wanted this PA, not this PA, or I wanted these IO picks. And, it was that one claim that got messed up on. And you know what? I understand. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to me. But I'm never going to hold somebody responsible for being 99.5% accurate. If everybody did 99.5%, I'd be so happy. That would be so wonderful. So, but again, that's why that report is there. It's our fallback. It's our reminder that, oh, here's something we missed. I don't want anybody to have $120,000 worth of work in the past 10 or 12 months that hasn't been submitted to insurance, because that's just increasing your AR. You're spending money to mail out statements to the patients to tell them. They're looking at it, not understanding why insurance hasn't paid, not believing it's their balance, which they're right, it's really not. So we just want to make sure we're paying attention to that. The other thing that I am seeing a lot is a lot of things not submitted because, well, I know it's not going to be covered. And, I just want to remind everybody, the vast majority of insurance contracts require that if you are in network, you submit all services performed, whether it's a covered service or not. So if there is a CDT code for it and you do it, you have to submit it to the insurance company. So, I just want to remind everybody of that. Um, I am here. Everybody have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, May 18th, and this is our morning drive live. I want to talk about an interesting thing that happened to me yesterday. I was ordering my groceries because I have them delivered now, like everybody else does, and don't go to the store anymore, and can't see myself ever going back now that they'll bring them to my front door for me. But as I was making the order on the app, I went to check out, and there was no choice for them to send me a bill, which I kind of found odd because yesterday when I was at the office, I ran over to the convenience store that's across the way from our office and grabbed a couple things. And when I got up to the cashier, at no point did he offer for me to pay later. At no point did he say, don't worry about it, we'll send you a bill. And I just found that odd because as I was walking back to the office from the convenience store, there were two posts in two different groups about people feeling bad asking patients for the money that they owed for the services that they had gotten. And, I want to make it very clear that we should be paid for what we are doing. We complain about insurance companies finding ways to try not to pay us. about the insurance companies delaying payment, but then we allow the patients to delay payment. And a lot of the posts, a lot of the problems that people have come because the patients have an expectation that for some reason they're not going to have to pay for their treatment when they get their treatment. And I think that's something that we as an industry need to work on changing. There's so many posts every day and I only still belong to 3 or 4 Facebook groups, and every day there's posts. Oh, well, this patient complained because I tried to collect their balance. This patient complained because they owed money. This patient complained because of that. Of course they did. That's what people do. I complain every time I get my electric bill, but I still pay it. But we have to collect the money. We have to begin setting the expectation that the patients are going to have to pay for the treatment they receive. I know it's an odd thing in the world to actually have to pay for things that you get, but it's the way it is. And, you know, we are fighting against 10, 20, 30, 40 years of patients being trained that you come in, you get the work, it's free, we'll bill the insurance, and then we'll send you a bill afterwards for whatever you owe. We need to stop doing that. It affects cash flow. There's a percentage of default. And the number one reason people switch dentists is money. It's not because they moved. It's not because they think your shirt is ugly. It's not because they don't trust the dentist or they don't think the dentist does good dentistry. It's money. The number one reason you lose patients is money. So we have to be very clear with our expectations. Yes, right now we're fighting an uphill battle, but it's a battle that's worth fighting because 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the next generation is going to thank us because the patients have the expectation that they're going to have to pay when they walk in the door. I see a lot of posts all the time about, well, I don't know how to bill this because the patient has insurance and they got a crown. We did the prep. We collected half of the money. Now the patient's coming back, but they won't come back for the delivery because they owe the other half of that. Or they came back and refused to pay. What do we do? Well, you can't not deliver the crown. That would be abandonment. So now you have a patient with a balance because they didn't pay their second half. Collect everything up front. I know we want to make things easy for the patients. However, there are ways to do that. Use Care Credit, use Green Sky, use a finance company if the patient's having difficulty paying. If we have to be getting our money, we have to be getting paid for the work we do. You can't complain on one hand about the insurance companies taking 30 or 60 days to pay us, and then on the other side of the coin, you're telling the patients it's okay to pay this over 6 months or to pay this over a year. That's not the business we're in. Dental offices are not lending institutions. We're not banks. We're not credit card companies. We don't offer lines of credit. We shouldn't be. And if we are, we have to stop. We have to set the reasonable expectation that you pay at the time of service for the services you receive. There is nothing unreasonable about that. So, I want to make sure everybody understands that. Yes, there are always going to be times when, maybe your estimate is off a little bit. Maybe the insurance downgraded a crown to a full metal from a porcelain crown on a posterior tooth. Whatever it may be, but those should be the exception, not the rule. And, when I look at a new client's AR and I see so much outstanding AR, that comes from allowing the patients to dictate when they're going to pay to you. And no other business does that. Nobody else does that. The electric company won't let me do it. The cable company, the internet provider, nobody else will let me tell them when I pay them. My insurance company won't do that. So we need to stop doing that as dentists because we're a business as well. So, we have to get paid for what we do. So that is it. I am here. I will get off of my soapbox. Everybody have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, May 19th, and this is our morning drive live. I want to talk today about two totally separate things, but things that came up in the group yesterday, and I thought warranted a discussion this morning on the drive live. So the first thing that I want to talk about is overpayment requests from insurance companies, because this is something that gets talked about pretty regularly across the board in all of the groups. And I want to make sure everybody understands the rules that go along with them. So, when you get a request for an overpayment from an insurance company, whether you are in or out of network, your state has very specific rules on timing and when they can request them and what your responses can be. I see a lot of people who will say, well, I sent a letter back to the insurance company that said I'm out of network and you've paid me in good faith and blah, 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 blah. And, that may work one or two times out of 100. And it's not because, honestly, it's not because the letter is working. It's because that letter causes the refund request to get kind of tied up or lost in the insurance company's system. Especially now with reduced staffing, the insurance companies have permanently reduced their workforces across the board, and that's just something that is going to happen. So it's a good thing for us. The real thing that applies here is your state's rule. And every single one of the 50 states has a very specific law regarding this exact topic. And it applies whether you're in network or not. It applies, no matter what insurance it is. Whether it's dental insurance or medical insurance or, we might have a longer drive live today. Seems to be an accident up ahead on the highway. But it applies to every insurance, auto insurance, everything in the state. And every state is different. I can tell you in Pennsylvania, the insurance companies have 12 months from the day they receive the claim to request a refund of an overpayment. So, sometimes we get overpayments because the insurance company actually mistakenly overpaid for a service. That happens. That was the example that was posted in the group yesterday. It was, they paid $45 more than they should have for a prophy. and then they caught their mistake and they requested a refund. And the question was, what do we have to do? Well, you're going to pay it back one way or another. So, when it comes to what do we have to do, you have two choices. You can either mail them the check, do a debit adjustment on the patient's account, which offsets that balance, which, if you're in network, may increase the amount of the write-off. It may increase the patient's portion. It may increase the patient's out-of-pocket. But that's option one. Option two is do nothing. At which point, if you fail to respond, typically within 30 to 60 days, they'll just take that amount of the overpayment out of another check. So this is why for our clients, when we're entering their payments, we always say, don't just send us the EOB. Send us the EOB and the check. We want to see everything together, because insurance companies are very good at deducting that $45 overpayment from the check amount, but not documenting it on the EOB, which means I have an EOB that says there's a $117 payment, but I look at the check, and the check is for $77 because they deducted that money out of it. So then it doesn't balance. So then I need to figure out why it doesn't balance. A lot of times we have to call the insurance company. We have to specifically ask them, why is this? And they'll say, oh, it was an overpayment adjustment from a previous claim. It doesn't have to be from the same patient. It doesn't have to be even from the same provider. If they overpaid an endodontist for patient John Smith, and that endodontist never sends back the money, and the next time that patient has work is at your office, they can deduct the $40 from their payment to you, because the patient saved $40 by going to with that overpayment at the endodontist. So now they're gonna pay that $40 to you. That's what I mean when we've talked before about the insurance companies looking at their benefit as a bank account that can be deposited into or withdrawn from. Just because they deposited $40 into the patient's bank account at the endodontist, they can now withdraw that $40 from the patient's bank account at your office. So you have to pay attention to that. But again, every state has very specific rules. Pennsylvania is 12 months from the day they receive the claim. There are other states that are 12 months or 18 months or 24 months from the date that they paid the claim. There are others that say it can only be done within the first 90 days, and after that, you're only allowed to do it if there's suspected fraud. So every state has a different rule on, the give back, the overpayment requests. So that's something important to remember. If you don't know what your state's rule is, if you go to practicemechanic.com, click on resources in the upper right-hand corner, you will see one of the resources, one of the files on that page is the state-by-state recoupment rules. And every state on there is listed. You will see it. You can look at your state and know what the rules are in your state. Again, these rules apply no matter what. In network, out of network, it doesn't matter. They're set up by the insurance commissions, the state insurance boards, and they apply to all insurances across the board. So that's that. That was part one of today. Part two, the other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is a brief one, but something I really do feel is important because it's what I do. It's one of the things that I actually enjoy and that I got started in the business world, which is, bookkeeping, accounting. And, the question was yesterday, how do you document in your practice management software? How do you document basically what equates to a merchant services fee? So, this applies whether you're using Weave's text pay system, which is 25 cents per transaction, whether you're using Green Sky or you're using Care Credit, or you're even Visa, MasterCard, Discover on your merchant services on your credit card terminal. People will say, well, I want that amount to balance. So, we're paying 10% to Care Credit of a $1,000 charge. So, they're going to deposit $900 tomorrow into my bank account. I want that $900 to be what's reflected on my deposit report in Dentrix or in EagleSoft. And here is what I will say about that. That is, in my opinion, completely inappropriate. Number one, if it shows as a $900 payment and you have somebody who's using an FSA or an HSA or whose account gets audited, that payment is not going to match. That's number one. Number two is you want your merchant service fees to be documented and accounted for in your accounting software. So whatever you're using for bookkeeping for your practice or whatever your accountant is using, that's what you want to match. That's where you want it to be reflected. If somebody paid $1,000 on Care Credit, their account should reflect a $1,000 payment because that's what they paid. You paid the $100 as a merchant services fee. That is a business expense. So your accounting software should show it as a $1,000 deposit minus a $100 merchant services fee. And that's very easy to do when you're entering a deposit in QuickBooks or, NetSuite or any of the other accounting softwares that are out there. That's very, very easy to do. But you want that there for a number of reasons, including the IRS will be looking at that. And when you get a 1099 from Care Credit, when you get a, whatever it may be, the total amount reimbursed is going to show on your financial statement from that merchant services account. It's going to show that $1,000. So you want that $1,000 to be documented in your accounting software and in your practice management software because that's what the patient paid. Again, that's my opinion. Put the full amount in there. The merchant services fee is a cost of doing business, and no, your deposit report from EagleSoft or from Dentrix is not going to 100% match what was actually deposited into your bank account because your accounting software should be reflecting the merchant services fee. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Feel free to ask questions about that. I have a lot of opinions. So everybody have a great day. I am here, and I will see you tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, May 20th, and this is our morning drive live. I want to clear up some information about the information blocking rule that went into effect April 5th, 2021. So it is in effect now. It went into effect more than a month ago. And talk a little bit about the stages and what they mean. So the information blocking rule, the Cures Act, is something that is being, created, rolled out, and enforced by the ONC, which is a branch of the federal government that falls under the Department of Health and Human Services, just like HIPAA. So it's a division of the same branch that covers HIPAA, but the two are only somewhat related. They do have contradicting rules, but technically they don't. So, basically what the information blocking rule or the Cures Act is about electronic records, whereas HIPAA covers all, protected health information and personally identifiable information, whether it's electronic or paper charts, written records, or even spoken word. The Cures Act, the information blocking rule, exclusively covers electronic records. It is only about electronic records, nothing more. It has absolutely nothing to do with paper records. So, the easiest way for me to put this is, if your charts are paper charts, you do not submit electronic claims, and you do not maintain any electronic history or data about your patients, about the services they've received, about their health information, then you don't have to worry about the Cures Act. If all of your charts are paper and you maintain no electronic records, so no ledgers or electronic, nothing, then you don't have to worry about the Cures Act. You don't have to worry about information blocking. If you do maintain them electronically, so even if your charts are paper, but you still do your walkouts and your ledgers and your billing and you submit electronic claims, automatically the information blocking rule applies to you, because that information is electronic health information. So, first thing, I wanted to make that distinction so everybody understood. I don't know very many offices that don't, at bare minimum, do their walkouts and submit their claims electronically. I'm sure there are some out there, but again, I don't know very many. So now what the Information Blocking Act requires is that's divided into two parts. There's one part about the release of records going to another provider, and there's a different part about patient access to records through either a patient portal, through an app, or a website, or it could be both. So those are the two parts. The patient portal part of it will not begin being enforced until 2022, January 1st, 2022. So we have 7 months to figure that out. Everything's going to be fine. Everybody's working on it. All of the software companies. Yes, it's going to be an add-on. Yes, it's going to cost us, $100 or $200 or whatever it may be. I'm sure there's going to be some companies who are going to throw it into packages that they already have, but that's not being enforced yet. It's being worked on, and we have until the end of this year, January 1st of 2022, to worry about that part of it. The other part of it, though, is the information blocking part, and that is the sharing of health records between providers. That is something that HIPAA did speak about. HIPAA did say, yes, you can release your records to other providers without the patient's consent. It's perfectly fine. It's absolutely acceptable, but offices don't have to do it. They still can require a signed release. The information blocking rule took that one step further and said if it is a provider-to-provider transfer being done electronically, A, there is absolutely no release required, and B, it must be done in a timely manner. Right now, their target number is 3 days. So if you receive a request from another provider and your records are maintained electronically, their current standard is 3 days. You have 3 days to get those records over to them. If you don't, then you are guilty of information blocking, which does have not only civil but criminal penalties associated with it. So, that really defined for provider-to-provider releases what the rules are. That part of the rule has begun being enforced, has went into effect. That is not January 1st, 2022. That happened April 5th, 2021. So, there's a big difference between those two. And I think everybody got kind of caught up in the, what are we going to do about the patient portal and the patients having access to their records, and we need to provide these records, and how quickly we can do it, and what software are we going to use. And everybody forgot about the other part of the rule that talks about releasing the information to other providers. And that's really the bigger part of the rule. That's, what I would say is the more important part of the rule, because that's what we see people on here in the group complaining about almost every day is, we're trying to get records from another office and they won't send them, or they only sent x-rays, we want the chart notes, we want the perio charts. It is very clear now. If you do not provide that, you are information blocking, and that is now a civil and criminal problem. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. There's going to be a lot more information. I'm putting together a webinar with a health information security expert who's going to come on and speak. We're putting that together now. Hopefully we can get that scheduled in the next week or so. And that'll be a full-blown, 1 hour webinar, one afternoon or evening, probably next week. So that is it. I am here. Everybody have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. So, I want to talk today about something that really has come up in so many ways, in so many posts, and that is integrity in the dental office. And, this comes in a number of ways, but I'm especially attuned to it today because something happened yesterday that I've spoken about before, not on Drive Lives, but, in many other forums. And, I just want to go through the story and kind of give my opinion on it. So, for my company, for all of my employees, our dental benefits reset every May. That's our renewal date because that's when we first got the plan, however long ago, however many years. So every May, our dental insurance plan renews. And this year, for the first time, we switched companies because the old company no longer provides coverage for our county. So we had two choices, and the lesser of the two evils was MetLife. So we switched to MetLife. All of my employees now have MetLife as their dental insurance carrier. We have the MetLife Gold Plan. There's no least expensive alternative clauses. There's no downgrades on posterior composites. I got them the best possible plan. So, my employees who work for me, who do dental billing, who deal with dental insurance all day, every day, know what to ask. They know the questions. They know how to deal with insurance. One of my employees came to me yesterday incredibly upset because she got balance billed by a provider. Now, it's not that she doesn't value dentistry, but when she was calling around looking for a dentist, she was very specific in asking, are you in network with MetLife? And the office that she chose to go to said, we absolutely are. We work with all PPO plans. Okay, fantastic. She goes, she gets balance billed. After the fact, she's told, well, we're not in network. We are a non-participating provider, and you are responsible for the difference. So, she absolutely is. She's responsible. She went, she received the service. I'm paying the balance bill for her. But that brought me to my point for the day. For the 100th episode of Drive Live, we're talking about integrity in the office. This dental office flat out lied to her to get her in the door. There's no question about it. They said, yes, we are. Now they say, well, we're a non-participating provider. Okay, well, that's not a thing. There is no such thing. There's no such thing as a non-participating provider. You're either in network or you're not. And what this has done now, because the office represented that they accept MetLife and they are in network with MetLife, they misrepresented themselves, and they have broken the trust that she would have ever had with them as a medical professional. You know, we wonder why people are writing articles in USA Today and in the AARP handbook and the monthly magazine from AARP. We wonder why people are writing articles in all these publications talking about how greedy dentists are and how you have to be careful because they will oversell you and they will upcharge you and they will do all these terrible things to rip patients off. And we defend and we defend and we defend. But unfortunately, the reality is, you know, it only takes 2 or 3 bad apples to spoil the entire bunch. And it makes all of the rest of us look bad. So, you know, be upfront with your patients, because once they think you've lied to them, even if you've not lied, even if you're using clever wording from some marketing company to get them in the door, whether you're in network or not, they don't like clever wording and they don't like being played. And once you do that as a medical professional, your integrity is irreversibly damaged with that patient. And it's not something that any of us should be doing. I feel very strongly about this, that being upfront with your patients about everything is important. It drives me crazy when I see other dentists posting in other groups, not in ours, saying, well, I know that's the rule, but I think it's ridiculous and I'm not going to do it unless I get caught, unless I get in trouble. Well, those are people I don't want to work with. Those are people I wouldn't trust with my teeth. I wouldn't trust with my money. I wouldn't trust with my credit card number. So, we have to maintain a level of professionalism. We have to be upfront with our patients about everything. And we have to know what the rules are. If the rule is, if a patient requests a copy of their chart notes, you give them to them. That's the rule. You don't get to say, well, we don't give out chart notes unless the other doctor calls us and tells us why he needs them. That's not the rule. So, I just want to say, for the 100th episode of Drive Live, have integrity, have some character, have some backbone, and be honest. Know the rules and follow them, because people are becoming more and more educated, and it's making the entire industry look bad. So please, please, please follow the rules, know the rules, follow them, and be honest with your patients. The more offices that go out of network, absolutely, it's great. It's a wonderful thing. But we have to be honest with our patients, because once you lose that integrity, it is gone forever. So that is it. I am here. Everybody have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday morning for episode 101.